Smoke. OVS, Old Virginia Smoke.
This podcast is brought to you by the Kansas City BBQ Store, the official provider of barbecue supplies to listeners of Pitmaster. It's June, which means the month that summer starts, Father's Day, and getting ready for July 4th. That means getting all of your grilling and barbecue supplies in order. From smokers and fuel to rubs and sauces, the Kansas City BBQ Store has everything and anything you could want. And get this, as a listener of the OVS Pitmaster podcast, you can get 10% off of your order this summer by using the code PITPOD, PITPOD, for online orders at www.thekansascitybarbecuestore.com. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. So visit the kansascitybarbecuestore.com today for all of your barbecue needs. It's Luke Darnell here. This is Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. And if you haven't been paying attention in the barbecue world, you've seen a name rising up through the KCBS point standings this year. But for those of us that have known him, he's been a great cook for a long time. So I'd like for everybody to join me in welcoming Ercole Chila with Uncle Pigs BBQ Pit. How you doing, my friend?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You've been on a little bit of a heater, huh?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'd be a lot better. My phone should work.
You've been on a little bit of a heater, huh?
We've been lucky, going through it.
Scored a couple of GCs in Virginia here in a row. That's been good.
Virginia seems to like me a little bit.
Some parts of it.
Some parts. There's always that one in Fredericksburg that wasn't so good.
Oh, yeah, that was a rough day. Well, congratulations, my friend. It's great to see you up there near the top. You're, 1 point behind right now in Team of the Year?
1 point right now. It's great. I would never expect that to happen. Not in my lifetime,
So how did you get into competition barbecue? How did this all start for you?
Well, it was basically a competition between me and my brothers. They were under the impression that boiling ribs was the way to go, and I kind of said, no, I think you got to smoke them. So, I always had an idea that I'd like to try smoking a little bit. But so we had a little backyard competition, and the smoker kind of won hands down. And then, I bought that little smoker, and I was actually called a smoking Tex. It was an electric guy. And I started doing some parties at my house, just for family and all. And everything tasted really well. I'm like, I think I could do this. So we're going to try. So then my cousin, he actually owned a store and a restaurant, and he was a judge. He said, you ought to try doing a competitive barbecue. I'm like, competitive barbecue? Is there such a thing?
Right.
And he said, yeah. So I went and I tried to join up. I actually joined in Wildwood, my first competition, and I got embarrassed pretty well. And that started it. I'm like, I'd like to go embarrassed. I got to try again.
Right. You always have struck me as someone that when something doesn't work out, that's not going to dissuade you from trying again.
No, I was not going to let that persuade me. Absolutely not. Although it did have its moment. There was a time in 2016, boy. It's barbecue's a humbling sport. I can tell you that.
Is that the infamous Fredericksburg incident?
Oh no, that was so. In 2015, we had a good season. We went to the Jack, finished fourth. I'm like, yeah, I got this barbecue thing down. It's got to tweak a little bit. 2016, I think I might have got one call at a 17 contest. One call, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta quit this sport. I can't do this anymore. It's pretty ugly. I mean.
Yeah, now unfortunately we do have to talk about the Fredericksburg story because we brought it up twice.
Well, you were there to guide me off the edge and pick up my brisket.
It was so we were at this contest in Fredericksburg, and Ercole's buddy Jake, who I think he was 15 at the time.
Yeah, he's 15. Yep.
and he was running the brisket box, and he was running across this field, and I'm like, Jake, you got to run faster. You got to run faster. You're not going to make it. And he went up around the corner, and then he come back, and he's holding the box, and he just looked at me, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, I'll walk back with you.
I remember.
And you were like, oh no, no, no. And
I
I was like, man, he tried so
I said,
hard.
"Hell, I hope he's around." Oh, he was trying. That was completely my fault too. I mean, it wasn't nothing he did. I'm in there washing dishes like a fool, and I'm like, "Oh, I got plenty of time." And before I knew it, it was 1:33 and change. I'm like, "Shit, take go, just go, just go."
Just go, just take it.
And it wasn't even in
Oh,
the box yet, Luke. It wasn't even in the box yet.
yeah, that's nuts, man. But we all learn from our mistakes like
Oh
that,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I got two
I
water
know.
puddles on my table that my stainless steel table where I bang my fist down. So it's funny that it happened. Big Raz, big dude, right?
Yeah.
His wife said, she said, you got to go talk to him. He's flipping out over there. He said, I'm not going nowhere near that guy right now. Are you crazy? I'm not going. Forget it. He says he's pounding on things, throwing things you can forget about. I ain't going.
And Joe's a big
That
guy.
was yeah. Yeah. He'd have calmed me down for sure. That's for sure. Absolutely.
So
Yep.
you have an interesting life outside of barbecue. How has your career and life experiences outside of barbecue prepared you to be a pitmaster on the competition trail?
Well, as you know, I own a gas station and repair shop,
Yep.
and having the repair shop is 5 times worse than having a mess up at a barbecue competition. It's just you have to learn to roll with it and fix things that come on up upon you unexpectedly, and that's usually happens a lot in both fields. I mean, it's just like this weekend, for example, my generator started acting up and it shut my Traeger off, and it went down to a 30-minute shutdown mode.
Wow.
And somehow or another, I was able to get it started again with my torch and getting going, and was able to somehow, luckily, grab first place ribs out of that. It was, I don't know, man. It's
Just
tough.
just being able to roll with it. That's the key.
Roll with it. Yeah, I mean, that's for me. That's you know what, and being able to like people, and like I have a lot of people to help me when we do these things, and as long as everybody's doing what they're doing as a team, everything works smooth. So just putting people in the right place and trying to be in the right place yourself.
Yeah. No, dude, that's a lot of it. I've surrounded myself with some pretty great people too, and that's the only way that I get through it is with them.
Yeah. I mean, how hard would it be without Kim? Very hard. I mean, it's
Oh,
hard without Jake. It's hard without Max. It's hard without Vince. It's hard without, Mike. It's hard without everybody that goes with me. When you're by yourself, it's hard. It makes it challenging.
yeah, I've done a few by myself now, and I don't care for it that much.
Makes you not like it as much, doesn't it?
It does. It's like, okay, well, no one's going to clean that up.
Yeah.
you
No.
know?
Yep. That's going to stay there for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, what's the most surprising thing that's come out of barbecue for you?
I'm going to tell you, the people. There's so many good people in barbecue. I mean, man, this list is long. You're yourself included. I mean, there's so many people that would give you the shirt off their back if you're stuck, if you need something, if you're out of something, if you forget something, and they come try to. Some people even try to come give you a hug when you forget a turn in. Some people named Luke. I mean, there's a lot of that going on, and it's just. And I'm only one person, so I know how it goes. Everyone's like that, and I try to be that way to other people. I really try to, help as much as I
Well,
can.
yeah, man, it's funny when you think about just the limited time that you and I have known each other
Yes.
and how close we've become and how we've both shared in great joys in each other's lives and
Yeah.
also great sadness. I mean,
Yeah.
with your family stuff and my family stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I know everybody thinks it's cliched when we talk about the barbecue family and barbecue people, but it's a real thing.
It is definitely a real thing. I mean, definitely a real thing. I mean, how I met Mac was I was struggling. I was by myself, and we were just talking. Well, I met him at Caratuck, I think it was, but I really got to know him. He was with Mike, and he was walking around, and he's talking to me, and I'm like, "You think you could turn my turn-ins for me today?" He said, "Yeah, I'll turn him in." Then he came in and washed the dishes. I mean, he just was awesome. He just was on top of everything, man. So, and that's how we became friends. I mean, so one thing leads to another, and you don't do that with not good people.
Right.
Not good people are not going to help you. They're going to leave you stranded.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And
there's not too many of those I know.
What's that?
There's not too many of those people in barbecue that I know.
Right, I know. It's just amazing when you just think about the breadth of people that you get to meet, and from all different things, And
Yep.
my favorite fall time sweatshirt now is my Chila car care sweatshirt. I love that thing.
I'm glad you like it. I should have some new models coming out.
Well, people get scared of me. They're like, "Who's this guy?" He's like, this big, massive guy walking around with Chila car care with a New Jersey address. What's he all about?
Oh, I get the New Jersey address thing all the time. They think I'm a mobster. Bill Jones is scared of me. He's like, "Whatever you say, sir. Whatever you say." I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh man, let's talk about. You mentioned the Traeger. You have quite an assortment of grills on that rig right now.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
You got a Traeger.
So everything has a purpose for me in what I do. I start everything. I start the brisket and the porks on the drums.
Yep.
I finish the porks on the deep south. The Traeger does the ribs, and the brisket stays on the drum the whole time.
And I know, man, it's fascinating to watch how you've changed over the
Yeah,
years.
absolutely. I thought to myself today, I'm like, man, I went from deep south to some 270s to I had a couple Webers. I mean, I had a selection of stuff. Then I went down to one. After watching Gibbsy, I'm like, damn, he's winning all these championships with one smoker. I got to simplify my life. But that being said, after you watch the rest of the barbecue world change, you have to be willing to take a chance and change a little. Maybe not your food, maybe not your flavor profile, but maybe you're cooking. Like I changed from drums, from deep south to drum completely, and it's worked for me. It's worked for me a lot.
Yeah.
So I have to say it has something to do with how I'm doing it between the three smokers.
Right, and it's you really hit on something big here in that it has to be, you have to adapt.
Yes.
Just because something worked one time doesn't mean it's going to work next week or 2 months down the road or next year. You have to be able to pivot and do different things.
So this is why I've realized, and I feel this is one of my stupid ideas of what's happening to some people that were doing well at one time and not doing so well as now, or kind of missing this thing. If you're going to do somebody's program and you don't know no other way, that's the only way you know, and that stops working, well, then you're kind of stuck.
Absolutely.
You're kind of stuck. You're like, what the shit am I going to do now? I'll go take another class. I mean, classes are great. They do. I mean, listen, when I started, there was no class. There was no curve. You were screwed up for 2 or 3 years before you even got to get a call.
Right.
I mean, now there's great classes out there, great people. I mean, your class was great. I mean, Brad and Tim's class was great. Tuffy Stone's class was great. All these guys were great. They weren't offering that shit to us when we first started. He wasn't getting that shit. That was like a locked and safe stuff. He wasn't getting it. You go figure it out yourself, buddy. I mean, that's how it was.
You could find help and tips, but you just had to sit there, shut the fuck up, and listen.
Yes,
and pay attention, and then come back with some educated questions afterwards.
Right. Absolutely. I shut up a lot and I listen a lot. I didn't never really ask a whole bunch of questions. I kind of, unless it was something that was burning in my belly, I just was quiet and listened and took it on. And then when you take it all in, you write it all down. Damn it, don't follow it word to word. kind of try to make something your own, because you're not going to be able to do what Luke does. You're not going to be able to do what Urkel does. You're not. They're different things. You have to kind of make it your own and grab it by the horns, and you have to do it. If not, when it goes bad, you're not going to be. You're going to be stuck, and that's what I think the difference is right now for me. As I'm getting, remember, sometimes the best barbecue doesn't win these contests. You know that. You got to get lucky. And right now, I've been getting lucky. I've been turning in decent food and getting lucky. With the tables and all that. A lot of shit goes into that.
Absolutely.
But I think everything I'm doing is a little bit different than the other guy, because it's not say word to word, but it's not as close to this class, not as close to that class. And like I said, there's a lot of good classes out there, but you want to have when they taste two of the same things, it's kind of like, well, I kind of like taste really the same. So I've been trying to be a little different, and hopefully that's why I'm doing well right now. It could change tomorrow. You know that. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, nothing stays the same for long in this game.
No way. No way. Like, I found it out in 2016.
2016. I'm trying to remember you going through that cold spell, and I can't
Oh
remember.
God, it was horrible.
So what did you do to get out of it? What did you do to pull out of it?
Well, so I changed. I went from backwoods to deep south.
Oh,
I got deep south towards the end of the season, and I started messing with it. And then I think I did take a class. I think I took. No, I took a class at the end of 2015.
Was that mine?
I took yours. I took your class. I took Gibbsy's class. And I think my biggest problem was I was definitely not cooking to the right tenderness. And from what I learned the hard way, the right tenderness develops a way different taste than not having the right tenderness. I especially with brisket and ribs. I mean, if they're not right tenderness, the taste is off to me.
Right.
So these are the things that you learn, and you can't learn that from a class. You gotta probe that bitch and test it yourself and taste it yourself to know what you think it should be. So, and I think that's how I pulled myself out of it. I just decided to go more. I'm like, I'll go more. I'll take a couple classes. I'll go more.
Yeah. No, that's very interesting, because a lot of people, especially recently, a lot of people will go through snaps like that where they're not doing well and they're not hitting, and they go away.
Yeah.
And it's, and I keep telling people this all the time. I'm like, this is a lot of this is a game,
Yes.
and figuring out to have the right pieces and putting them in the right places at the right time. And that's sometimes how you got to treat it.
Well, I know for sure this past the weekend in Wise with the brisket I got for 180. It's simply because right before I turned the box in, I took the front two pieces off and changed it with two other pieces, because it was bothering me. I'm like, I think they're overdone. And I closed the lid. I opened the lid. I took two other pieces out, and I had them already cut. I put them right in front of it. I said, they're the ones I'm going with. It was overdone. In my mind, it was overdone, and it wouldn't let me go. And thank God, knock on wood, I proved to be right on that one. And I just, it was. You have to believe what you're doing. You have to believe what you're putting in that box.
Right. I got second place brisket that day. That's nice to hear. Should have left those two in there, you bastard.
God damn it. I'm sorry, Luke.
It's all right, bud. It's all right. So we started talking about grills a little bit. What's the best or most worthwhile investment that you've made in competition barbecue?
Well, I'm going to say probably my trailer was a very good investment as far as being organized, and I think, and it goes unspoken. You have to get some sleep. I mean, when I first started this game, I was up for 24, 25, 26 hours watching fire, and it ate me up. So at the end, when I was finishing stuff or trying to get some things done, I skipped steps, I missed steps because I was just tired. So when I got the other trailer, I was able to get some sleep, in between the hallway type deal. But that got to be aggravating because every time I had to fold the bed up and do this and do that. So when this one came around, it definitely gave me a better way of putting my head down and getting some rest. And drum smokers helped me a lot too. I got to say that they helped me, and the Deep South helped me. I mean, they definitely did their part in helping me with my investment in getting better at this sport. But I kind of think if I stayed with what I was doing with whatever, you would have been okay. You know, as far as the smoker. But like I said, each one has its own personal great worth to me. Each one does something special for me.
Right, and that's important. That's important. Do you have anything that you've spent $100 or less on that really has changed your game?
$100 or less.
Yeah. This is my favorite question because this is something that somebody could go and get like tomorrow. You know, could be, you know, like one of my favorites is the little thumb spice grinders that I use.
Okay. Well, this was one of the things that I was going to say. That was probably the best low cost item I've had, only because, like we've talked about in our own personal conversation as far as finishing dust, because I had some ribs somebody I know in New Jersey where it was so damn good. I'm like, what'd you put on them? And you never told me. But they were, and that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. That finishing dust, the finishing powder, and I grind mine up. Then I even grind it again with the actual thumb grinder. So that's a very good investment. The spit jack injector is pretty good. I don't know if that was under $100 or not, but that was
right around there. Yeah,
that was a game changer as far as speed. That's. I mean, sure, there's other things I'm going to remember after we hang up. But.
That's fine. If they come to you when we're saying this, just let me know.
I will.
It's all good. Do you use a lot of technology? Well, obviously you use some technology because you've got so many cookers going. Are you still using gurus and stuff like that?
Yes. So what I only do it with the Deep South. I have the Deep South actually connected to my 40-inch TV in my sleeping quarters. So when I'm sleeping or while I'm working in the kitchen, I can just look over and see on a big screen what's happening. But for the drums, I just use the dots. So so dots in the Guru. It's just for an eyeball.
Right on. Makes sense. This podcast is brought to you by BarbecueData.com. BarbecueData.com is your one-stop shop for all of your barbecue competition data. Historical data, calls, wins, placements, everything under one roof. It's a great way not only to track yourself in the standings, but also to track how you improve your scores from year to year. Listeners of this podcast can receive 20% off of a new subscription to BarbecueData.com with the code PITPOD. That's one word, all capital letters, PITPOD, PITPOD. So check your team scores, check on others, and do it all on BarbecueData.com. Let's talk about people. So who has impacted your life most in competition barbecue?
Who impacted my life most? Well, I guess starting out, the Tuffy Stones, even listen, you may not believe it, but because you was always getting calls, and I was like, man, who is this guy? Even Dan from Three Eyes, all you guys were getting calls. I'm like, Paul Huff. I mean, these are people that I knew, but I didn't know. I'm like, man, these guys they got this barbecue thing down. What the hell? I want to be like these guys. Mike Fay, he was another one that always got calls. I mean, it was just, and to me, it was like, I'm at the bottom of this rung on this ladder. I'm never going to catch these guys. I'm never going to get up there. These guys are so far much, so when after I did my first contest, I bombed. The second contest I did very well. The third contest, I went to Dover, Delaware, one of the last ones there, and Cool Smoke was there. And I thought my food was just excellent. And I think out of 48 people, I came in 45th. And I'm like, wow, I'm a long way off of this. I thought it was good. And so I'm like, boy, I'm going the wrong way with this. I really got to start paying attention. And then I bought my first trailer off of Scott Smith. And he had a big impact on me too, believe it or not,
Yeah,
because
Scott's amazing.
yes, he told me, he said, come down, I'll give you a class. I'm having a class. And that was probably the first class or the only class that I was able to in the beginning, because it was full. So everything was new to me. I'm like, what the, you do what with who? What the hell? You cut this? What? I couldn't believe it. I was writing like a stenographer. I was writing this shit down like a maniac. I'm like, I got to keep up with this guy. And it truly helped me a lot. His class truly helped me a lot because I was completely green. I had no idea I didn't even know what blue hog was when at a competition. And Paul Huff come over and he wanted to taste my rub, and he tasted my rub, and he's like, I would use that one. I'm like, okay, cool. Then he comes over and goes, oh, you see my blue hogs? I'm like, what the hell's what the hell's a blue hog? He goes, my barbecue sauce. I'm like, I know, I never heard that before in my life. When I first started, I never heard that before in my life. And he's it's and he's like, that's barbecue. I'm like, shit, not everybody uses Sweet Baby Ray's. You kidding me? I didn't know that.
I remember when I came to that. Yep. I remember my first revelation on that as well. It was it was like, oh my God, the amount of stuff that I wasn't doing. It's amazing that I even got a call.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. What was the biggest turning point for you as a pitmaster?
Probably.
Was it that first class?
It was definitely Scott Smith's first class. And it would have probably been Luke's first class. It would have probably been Mark Gibbs' first class. It would have probably been Tuffy Stone's first class, because I had no idea what went into competition barbecue. None.
Right.
Not a drop. And then the other classes I took, they all had impacts. They all did. I was able to take something from every one of them. Pieces here, I may not use all of it anymore, but it's knowledge that's in your head or in a book or in a piece of paper that, like, I have a book that's really, really thick. And I go back to it occasionally if things aren't working, or if I think I'm missing something. I'm like, what am I doing? Am I doing something wrong or something? I got to go look. And I go look, and I'm like, oh shit, I did forget a step. You know,
right.
That's how this happens. You think you got it in routine, and you're like, and you miss something. So it's good to have all that backup knowledge.
Absolutely. I go back on my notes all the time, dude. All the time.
My wife always says to me, what are you doing? I'm like, I just got to go freshen up. I just got to freshen up.
I got to freshen
or
up.
I'm trying to make a timeline. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. You just can't sit on the couch and watch TV, can you? I'm like, yeah, but I got my book with me. I'm looking. I can do both. I promise. I can do both.
I can do both. Now, I know, oh my God, how long is this going to take? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you this question. And if it cuts us off, we're going to have to start a new meeting, because 8 minutes isn't going to be long enough. I don't know why this thing popped up, but.
Okay.
All right. So next question. And I know some of these, because I adopted one for a long time. But do you have any rituals or habits or routines or superstitions that you got to do during your competition?
Just a couple. Yeah. Well, one we can't talk about, but you know it well. I've only given that to one person in my whole life, and that is you.
Wow.
That is you.
I feel honored.
That is the honest to God truth. I mean, other people may know about it, as far as people on my team, because they see me walking around with that thing, and like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, don't pay attention.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
it. Yes. So there's a lot of things that I do the same. Like tonight, when I went to go pick up my chicken, I had a front row spot in Whole Foods. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go park in the same spot I park all the time. I park away from the building, facing the building, like right in the middle in front of the doors, and it's way back. And I'm like, I do it all the time. I just do it all the time. There's crazy shit. I mean, I got to try to make sure I wear the same Crocs, the same socks. I mean, it's just stupid shit, and it doesn't mean nothing, because you don't win all the time. So yeah, it could be easy to forget that, but you're like, nah, I think I'll just do that again. It's nuts. I mean, you got a couple too.
Oh, I got a bunch, but you always have the same thing on, and you always it's
time to upgrade to Uncle Pig shirt. I do that, or I wear a Royal Oak shirt. But the Royal Oak shirt is like a 5X and is way, way too big.
Right.
But I still wear it. I wore it in Virginia. If you could look back at the Virginia day 2, I had that Royal Oak shirt on because I didn't do good on day 1. I did okay at day 1, but I didn't do good enough, I thought. So I'm wearing my Royal Oak shirt. And we GC'd it. I'm like, keep that son of a bitch. I didn't want to change it.
Oh, that's so you do the same thing every week. Like you try
Same radio, same place, same place, playlist. I put it on, and people probably get tired of hearing it, and I don't probably even hear the words no more. But I do it at like 11:40 all the time.
Same playlist.
Same playlist.
Yeah.
Man in the Box, right on up. It's just the same thing all the way up.
Oh, what a great
How
song
you do
for
10 songs.
what a great song for turn-ins, Man in the Box.
Yeah, that's my favorite. That's my very first one I play all the time.
I'm totally stealing that.
It's okay, Dad. You can have it. Good people. Like I said, good people get whatever they want. Listen, I'll give you a story about this weekend. So we were at, we're at Galax, and I'm at the very end of turn-ins, and I'm watching Rooters and Tooter's wife come, and she is walking. She has, and I know it's a minute and 5 seconds, kind of a fast walk, and she's walking. I'm like, I can't. I can't. So you have 40 seconds. 40 seconds. She starts running. She makes it within 3 seconds. So yes, good people. Wow. I'm not going to try to let nobody fail on purpose. I'm not going to do that. So if you want to have my song, Daddy, you can have it. We're all good.
I know that. All righty. Well, man, I think it's been fun having you on here. And it's actually my fault that we didn't do this sooner.
No, it's okay.
But it's actually worked. It's actually worked out great. We're actually going to do something in person probably this weekend.
Okay.
When we're at Spring Grove duking it out, we'll probably get Bill Gillespie involved, and
that's cool.
A couple others. But now we got to do the rapid fire, buddy.
I'm ready.
All right. What do you see about barbecue on social media that upsets or bothers you?
What do I see on social media that upsets and bothers me? I really don't like when someone goes out there and puts their stuff on social media as far as pictures and this and that, and then kind of complains about the scores and stuff. I mean, it's not going to go away. We all agree with sometimes the scores that go out there. It's just tough to listen to all the time because we all have lived it. I mean, we've all know it. It's, we have that personal stuff. Like, look, check this picture out. Have you ever got a fucking 7 for this? I mean, and it's hard to do. And sometimes people that do it, they deserve it.
Exactly.
That's what you want to say. You're like, dickhead, your shit was ugly. Yes. Yes, you deserve that.
That's amazing. That might be the quote out of podcast history. Dickhead, you deserve that. Do you have a favorite pre, during, or post competition meal?
No, I do not. I back in the day, maybe I would go to a restaurant and have a cheeseburger on the way home. But now it's just I had the 2 bites of ribs, a couple slivers of brisket. I eat it. Kind of fills my tank up.
You're good to go.
I'm good to go.
Do you have
it's a 0 Gatorade.
There you go. Do you have a favorite present that you like to give to people?
I like giving all my leftovers to Jake. He takes to the racetrack, or give them to Vince sometimes, and Mac takes them to his people at work. I like giving their leftovers away to people coming up, like the judges or people walking by. I know I'm not supposed to, but if they ask, I give it to them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Last weekend, it paid off. I got a bottle of moonshine and a bottle of bourbon. Some locals brought me some bourbon and moonshine.
I know where I'm hanging out this weekend.
I got it in the trailer too.
All right, last question. If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, getting a message out to millions, what would it say and why?
As far as barbecue-wise?
Doesn't have to be barbecue-wise. It can be a life message.
Well, my life message is kind of be nice to people as you would like them to be nice to you. Because you know what? Life's too short. fucking people are too mean or too nasty to each other out there. God, it's. And I know, like you say earlier, it sounds like a cliche, but that's the truth. You
It
know,
is.
letting somebody in line when they're trying to get out of traffic. I mean, these kind of things, they're very simple and they go a long way for people. You know,
Yeah.
and it makes people's day that is going to start off bad. Like I go to Dunkin' Donuts almost every morning, and I 99.9% of the time buy the people's food behind me.
That's
Sometimes
awesome.
it backfires in my face, and it's $27. But hey, that's kind of what happens.
Yep.
And I always
hear
try to
you.
give somebody else a good day. You know, you start yourself off with a good day, and if they're good, and if they have it, they'll pass it to the next person behind them. And you know
That's
what?
right.
And that's my. I know it's kind of corny sounding, but that's the truth. I mean, a smile goes a long way, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we'll talk more this weekend, buddy.
All right, man.
Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and to share it out with your friends. Also be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke TikTok as well. Old Virginia Smoke, one word. That's all you have to search for. It's hilarious. Tune in next week for another great episode of Pitmaster. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedanka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke LLC. All rights reserved. Copyright 2022.
Virginia, old Virginia smoke.